She is right here. She has joined us in the, what will I call it, virtual experience. Okay, so I am bringing Chinelo right away and dive into the conversation for today. All right. But before we start this conversation, hello, Chinelo. Good to see you.
Hi,
So
sis.
before,
Good to see you.
awesome. So before we will start this conversation, I want to quickly introduce Chinelo for those who do not know or who are not familiar with Chinelo. Thank you for joining us today. We're full of excitement. We can't wait to hear you share your wealth of knowledge and understanding. So, without wasting further ado, let me just introduce Hello. He's a multi-gifted Christian leader whose life and ministry as a pastor, worship leader, author, conference speaker, entrepreneur, etiquette consultant for many years, a radio show host that has impacted so many lives within and outside Nigeria. Now, Chinelo is a co-pastor of the Place of Grace in Nigeria, and she hosts Psalms from Yesterday and At His Feet with Chinelo concerts and Christian recording artist with four successfully launched music albums. She has the honor of being a featured guest on CBN Africa's television show, the 700 Club. Some of us that know. Okay, she's worked with some of the music video productions as well with them. She's a founding state chairman, currently the zonal coordinator for Fellowship of Gospel Music Ministers in Nigeria. And today she is with us on the B Theory. Let's welcome with a warm applause Chinelo Dillimono.
Thank you, sis. Hi.
The
Hello.
people are hailing you right there.
I can
The
see
people are right there.
Dali
They're all hailing you. Yeah, see you all. All right. Awesome. Hello, we are excited to have you in today with us. So we will go right into the heart of the matter. They say the heart of the matter is a matter of the heart.
Come on. I like that. I like that.
Awesome.
Hi,
So let's.
Good to see
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. You look radiant, by the way.
you. Sis.
All right. So
Awesome yourself.
let's get into the crux of the day. We're
Okay.
talking the B theory, right? And this is a
Right.
concept that has been on our minds since last year when we started this conversation. And we've had different people come to give us their perspective to what they believe the B theory is all about. So today, we have brought you in to bring your own perspective to the concept of being extraordinary. And please, by any means, feel free to just express as it comes from within. So, in your own words, what do you think? From your own perspective, what do you believe being extraordinary? What comes to mind when you hear the word be extraordinary? What does it mean to you? And you can use your experience in life, growing up, whatever it is to express yourself. So now the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Noma. It's so good to see you after so long,
I know.
And let me first of all say hello to all my people. I can see them. Pastor Debbie, you're here. Neremi, there's so many of them. Bless you all. Okay then. Norma, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on the Be Theory today. And for me, I've followed you and I've watched a couple of them, and I think you're doing such an amazing work. And
Oh,
I think
you.
it's extraordinary as well. So yes. So, but if you ask me what the meaning of the word to me, extraordinary is, extraordinary for me means beyond ordinary, right? Maybe
Hmm.
that's a layman's way of defining it, but being extraordinary means to uh, be uniquely you, because we're all not born the same. We may even be born on the same day, but being extraordinary means bringing that authenticity that makes you who you are,
Hmm.
being comfortable in your own skin to deploy who
Right.
you are,
Right.
being comfortable to deploy who God has made you to be without having to try to be a photocopy of someone else. Oh, Pastor Manny Okon is here all the way from the US. Bless you, Pastor Manny.
Uh,
You know,
welcome.
yeah, so being extraordinary for me is being authentic, yet
Hmm.
being able to deploy um, more than who you are because you're maximizing yourself. So I'd like to say that maybe every one of us is born ordinary generally, but locating who I am, locating what my gifts are, locating my strengths, and then deploying it to be a blessing to my world. So
Hmm.
my world might be the entire globe, or my world might just be that little community where I reside, but I live beyond just myself. I'm
Hmm.
extraordinary because I'm able to touch the people within my community. I'm able to use my gifts and my skills to touch people within my community. I'm able to put a smile on people's faces by the things that I do and by the way that I live. My choices make me extraordinary.
Hmm.
My decisions make me extraordinary. My opinions about things that not don't just concern me but concern other people as well, because no man is an island. I live
Hmm.
within a community where other people live, so being able to do that makes me an extraordinary person and makes every other person an extraordinary person. Being
Hmm.
able to compete with myself on a daily basis and looking at what are the things that I've achieved today and trying
Hmm.
to ensure that I don't remain and plateau at the same level, but I'm making the effort, to be better than I was yesterday, not in
Right.
comparison to you, not in comparison to anybody else, but looking through my book and saying to myself, I can be better than this. That makes me extraordinary. And then I push myself to do more than maybe the people around thought I could do, because some
Hmm.
people sometimes benchmark you somewhere and say this is how far I think she can go, this is how far I think he can go, and then I
Hmm.
push myself a little further, not to prove them wrong, but to express the greatness that is within me. That makes me extraordinary. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I like the direction that you are coming from. When you
Right.
being uniquely you. So
Yeah.
that means that it is distinct, it is different, and there can't be two of you on planet Earth. So
No
for
two.
you to know that it is uniquely you, you must discover that thing that makes you different from every other. Because the way
Yeah.
you're talking now, I could say what I believe being extraordinary is, but that's my perspective, and it will come off totally different from where you see it. And that's why we're bringing um, veterans, let me put it that way, like
Ah,
you, to share from their perspective. What do they see being extraordinary to be, so that people can have varying perspectives, the ones that they connect with, say, okay, I connect with what this person is saying because they
right.
have said it uniquely to who they are. So
Hmm.
which brings me to my next question. Is
Right.
it is everyone extraordinary?
I believe so, actually. I believe every single person. God, I like the phrase, God doesn't make junk,
Oh,
right? God doesn't make junk. And if we believe that God created every single person, then I think there is a part of us, there is an extraordinariness to every single person. The only thing is that some people have discovered what makes them extraordinary, and some others have. Some have been able to deploy their extraordinariness, while others have not been able to, either because of their own experiences, their environment, or what people, there's some of us who hear the chit chat of other people in our heads. So it kind of makes it difficult for us to find extraordinariness. Exactly. So for me, I think every single person is extraordinary. I mean, you've seen some people who probably are disabled, or people with special needs who have exhibited some level of extraordinariness. Let me give you an example. I mean, he's no stranger to us in Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Right. You've heard of Cobams.
Yes.
Cobams is one of the greatest musicians in Nigeria today. Right?
True. Absolutely.
Some will say that he can't see, and of course he can't. Right? He can't see physically, but he's been able to deploy his musical gift to the point that certain people who can see can't even do what he does musically.
Right.
So in my perspective, my personal perspective, really, everybody is extraordinary. We just need to find that thing that makes each of us extraordinary. And that's why I say we don't compete. We don't compete with anybody. Anybody who competes with another person has lost track of who they really are. I mean, no, I can't start competing with you, right? And you can't compete with me because there are things that you have I don't have, and the things that I have you don't have. You can't have them, and I can have yours, but I have mine. Then if I deploy mine and then you deploy yours, both of us are extraordinary, but we're extraordinary in different ways.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes. So, but you can't have a rainbow. You can't have a rainbow with one color. You can't have a rainbow with one color.
Right. It's a rainbow, different colors.
Yes. Yeah, different colors make a beautiful rainbow. Exactly.
So now that we're talking, I want to now go a little bit deeper, if you would let me. Now, were you always this extraordinary person, or did you have some kind of encounter at some point in your life? Growing up, what was growing up like you? What are the things that really helped to shape this extraordinary person that you are today? And what are things that we can take away from you as a person that helped you, from your formative years to become the extraordinary person that you are today?
Okay, I'd say that I'm humbled for you to say I'm extraordinary. Thank you. I'd say thank you, right?
Yeah. You're welcome.
But there are a couple of things that I've been through. I say to people, life is about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they all add up to make you an extraordinary person. Everything we go through, as a young child, I was sharing with some of my people today, my experience in terms of between the ages of 5 and 8. If you ask me what happened in my life, I can only tell you where I was, who I was with, but I do not even remember the content. But I remember some feelings that I had. I remember that at that point, I had to learn how to be a certain level of independent. I began to learn that nobody owes me anything in this life. Yeah, I began to learn that whatever I become because I made a choice to. But then, okay, fast forward, grew up with my parents. My father was a lecturer, bless his soul. My mother was a very strict person. As a young girl, I felt my mother was too harsh. In fact, I felt my mother was a mean mom.
Were you the first? Were you the first, or you're the Malcolm in the middle, or you're the last?
I'm the first. I'm the first
Oh,
everything.
oh.
I'm,
So that,
I'm the first child. I'm the first child. I'm the first grandchild. I'm the first niece. I have no one older. The people who are older than me are uncles and aunties.
wow. So a lot of responsibility was on you.
Exactly. Right? And then experiences. Um, well, I grew up within the period when we had the military rule. Life was
Right.
tough. Well, life was really tough around then. Things were tough for my family. But I'll tell you, one of the turning points of my life, one of the turning points, and I'd scream it from the mountaintops, was when I met Jesus as my Lord, when I gave my life to Christ, when I
Right.
became a Christian, when I became a Christian indeed, because I mean, prior to that, I used to go to church, of course. But when I
Mm,
met with Jesus, something happened in my life.
mm,
Because prior to then, my confidence had been taken. I was traumatized. I was traumatized terribly. I was traumatized in secondary school. That's why I'm amongst those that are shouting today about secondary schools. We really need to know what we're doing in boarding schools. I was
mhm,
really traumatized. I had gone through quite a number of experiences, but after I met with Jesus, my confidence started coming back. I
mm.
sing today, but I never sang any time before I met Jesus. But I could
Right.
sing. Yes, but I never sang anywhere. I wouldn't answer questions in class because my confidence had been ripped from me by
Mm.
life, by the things I had been through, by the things I had heard from people, by the things people had said to me.
To
But
you.
you see, and for me now in hindsight, I'm like grateful for the things that I'd been through because
That
they form my
was
value system.
the person
Yes,
that you become today.
yes, yes,
Mm,
they form my value system.
mm.
And one of my cardinal values in life is that nobody owes me anything.
Right.
Whatever I become, I choose to become. The newest
Mm.
one, and my friend is close to me, she's right here with me. You know, I say this to her all the time. I choose my friends don't choose me.
Right.
I had to start learning that because as a young child, I call everybody my friend, and then this person hurts you there, this person hurts you there. I had to come to a point where I realized I choose my friends
Mm.
because your friends can make you, your friends can break you.
Right.
The reason I didn't study law as a younger person when my father advised me to was I had friends whose voices were ringing in my head.
Louder than your voice.
Exactly.
Mm.
So I get to the age of 41 and I say to myself, you know what? I didn't do it then. But even though time is ticking, it's never late to start now. So I
Right.
go at the age of 41 to start studying law.
Wow.
Yeah. So some of these
Wow.
values I had to learn the way, and I had to learn how to be comfortable in my own skin and be comfortable in my
Mm.
own decisions and know that life
Mm.
is about choices. Every man is responsible for their own choices, and you live with the consequences,
Right.
and you also live with the rewards. So some of these things are the values that I've picked along the way that have formed who I am becoming because I'm still becoming. I don't think
Right.
I'm. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. That is such an amazing story. You know, sometimes a lot of people see the success that people have attained in life without
Mhm.
realizing that it was a journey, it was a process that brought them
Right,
to that place where they
right.
are today. It may look very, very enticing and somebody wants to grab it, or like they say in religious circles, I covet your greatness or whatever. Are you also coveting the trials? Are you coveting the
Good question.
tribulations or the tough times that the person had to go through? That's a question
Good
for
question.
another day. So, Chinelo, now
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you why you think a lot of people, now you shared some really deep points there because it was from your own personal experience. Now, there's some people who are also struggling the way you have struggled in the past, and they are still in that quagmire, if I may say.
Right.
So, why do you think, there are a lot of people for different reasons, they have decided not to come out of living an ordinary life just because of the kind of mindset you had to free yourself from some of those limiting belief systems, right? So why
Yeah.
is it that some people have the opportunity to come out of uh, mediocrity, if I may say, use that word, mediocrity? Why is it difficult for them to come out of mediocrity to embrace the extraordinary life, as in being uniquely you, in your own
Right.
words?
Right. Okay. I'd say, let me paint this picture. If you find yourself in a pit, a man who's in a pit cannot help himself out of the pit. We need to ask for help. We need to look for help. We need to
Mm,
seek for help. One of the banes of today's world is that lots of people act as though they know, but they
right,
don't.
but they don't.
Yes. What's that thing that our coach used to tell us about conscious and unconscious competence and conscious and unconscious incompetence?
Right.
Right? So some people are unaware of the fact that they are unaware, or the
Hmm.
people don't know that they don't know. So I've said to myself that in life, I'm a lifelong learner.
Mm,
And for us to come out of such pits of ordinariness, we've got to first of all acknowledge that in life I'm not an island of complete knowledge.
mm,
No man knows everything.
right,
Everyone who's a teacher is also a student.
right,
Everyone who's a leader is also a follower. And if you
right.
don't get these two caps at every point in time in your life, you're going to miss the way.
Hmm.
So you find lots of people who want to teach others, who want to show others the way, but don't want anyone to teach them.
Mm,
So to come out of that pit of ordinariness, you've got to have one, you've got to have a mentor or a coach or a teacher or a leader, someone who can guide you, someone who's been down that road and can show you the way. Now, my husband comes from a place called Procrio, and I'm sure you've never heard of it before. And if you want to go to Procrio, much as I know you may be able to use your navigator or your Google Maps, you might still miss the way. So you might need my help to show you the way to Procrio. Because I've been there. I know the way there. So people have got to have coaches, mentors, teachers, pastors, right? They must have that. Then we have contemporaries. And I think it's almost like a pyramid. Your coach, your mentor should be very few. People who you know that they're not just going to answer coach or mentor, but they'll actually take you by the hand and show you the way. Then you also have contemporaries who can celebrate your small wins with you. Friends who you can call, like I call you. No, like we speak. We're still trying to keep a steady flow of these calls. But I can call you and I say to you, Norma, what do you think about this? You're my friend. You're my sister, and I don't
right.
have to feel. I don't have to feel I'm any smaller because I called you. And likewise, you don't feel any smaller because you called me. So I pick a
Mm,
few things from you, you pick a few things from me. So we need that. But lots of people don't want to do that. And I'll tell you the reason. The reason is actually what the Bible calls pride. Because a
mm,
proud man says to himself, I don't need anybody. And once you get to that
mm,
point where you feel you don't need anybody, then your extraordinariness will be buried.
right.
But your extraordinariness comes from a little here, a little there, a little help here. In fact, sometimes your help will come from that person who you feel is a subordinate. That's what
Mm,
some people don't understand. You may have a secretary in the office, and your secretary could be the one who has a key to opening the door of your extraordinariness.
mm,
It could even be your own child. And that's one of the lessons, bless the soul of my father. My father told me that every human being around you needs to be respected, including children,
Right.
including your child. Your child could be the one who says to you, Mommy, don't you think? And the child tells you something that would never have crossed your mind if that child hadn't mentioned it. And that opens the door to your extraordinariness. So
Right.
yeah, for me, I think everybody is extraordinary. Everybody can be extraordinary, really, and
Yeah.
everybody has an opportunity to be extraordinary. But the question is, will we do what needs to be done?
Done.
Learn from people, ask for help. That's a big one for me. I'm still learning that lesson, to ask for help, right? But ask for help. Then also company with those who are extraordinary. Company with them. Be around
Right.
them. And then
Right.
celebrate them. You know, some people just want to be celebrated, but they don't want to celebrate other people.
Others.
Yeah, but I found, I sang for so long, and I discovered at some point there was a lot of competition, people competing here and there. So I decided to do something. If I'm in a concert or if I'm in a program and someone is singing and they're singing, even when they're singing bad, because I also know the feeling when you're not too together and you're on the stage,
100%.
you need someone to applaud you. Right? So I'd stand up and I'd applaud the person, and I'll get that person to look at me so that I show the person you can do better. I'm here, I'm rooting for you. And then if the person
Right.
is also doing good, I still stand up and I applaud so that the person knows, even if you're not singing to everybody else, you're singing to me and I hear you.
I hear you.
Now, I may not be the one singing, but to be honest, I feel at those moments I'm the extraordinary person and I'm cheering another extraordinary person on.
Oh, yeah. True.
You get the
True.
point. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
True.
I'm seeing so many of my friends. NK Maduforo, hi.
They're all here to cheer you on because they
Yeah,
know
yeah, they're here
that
to
you're
cheer me
an
on. Thank you,
extraordinary
guys.
person. So, right. So, I mean, Chinelo,
Yeah.
you're hitting some raw nerves there for some people because I'm seeing some, comments right there in
Okay.
the chat room.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
It's important for us to bring this truth to the awareness of
Right.
of people who are here with us, because it's a major struggle for a lot of people. A lot of people believe that they don't have what it takes to be extraordinary, and that's the truth. A lot of people believe that being extraordinary is for a few people. The
Mm-hmm.
names that you hear, the celebrities, the ones that are in the forefront, they are the ones that are living the extraordinary life. IG defines, social media
Mm-hmm.
defines for people who is in their own definition extraordinary.
Right.
But really, when we look through all of this, you can also see that there are cracks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do people determine who is extraordinary? Who the kind of life that I should look forward to? How do we make the difference between people who seem to have an extraordinary life,
Right.
as benchmarked with people who really are living the extraordinary life? What's the difference?
Okay. I have a book on my shelf. I'm going to say two things here. I have a book on my shelf that I read many years ago. And I can't remember the author's name, but I remember the title. The title is Being Number One at Being Number Two.
Okay.
The day I stumbled on that book and I read it, I'm like, yes. Now, Norma, I mean, literally everybody here who sees you knows you're a fine girl, right?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Take it to the bank. I said so. And I think Efanga says the same thing as well. So
True.
you're a fine girl. And as fine as you are, if it's not your ambition to, or maybe your husband's ambition to be the president of Nigeria, you'll never be a first lady. You'd never live in Aso Rock, right? But you are Efanga's first lady. You're the first lady in your domain.
True.
Right? So you can be number one. You can be the first lady without having to sit in Aso Rock. And that's one of the concepts. People have got to understand. We don't all have to have 5 million followers on Instagram, on Facebook,
Right.
extraordinary. Because there are people who are not on Facebook. Colonel King, right? Is that the right
Okay, someone just gave us the name. Thank you, Sally.
Yeah, the name of the author. Thank you, darling. Yes. So, I can be extraordinary, but not be in the limelight of everybody in the world. I don't have to be on social media. Doesn't define us. Social media for me is a tool to pass across the message, because there are some people who are doing amazing things in the world that are not on Facebook, they are not on Twitter, they are not on Instagram, but when you hear their story, you'd be shocked at what they are doing. That's number one. That's the first point. The second thing that I'd like to say is John Maxwell, in teaching on leadership, he says there are 3 levels of leadership. There are those who lead from the front, which is what most people are now gunning after. Everybody wants to be a leader in the front. There are leaders in the middle, and then there are leaders from behind. Yeah, the leaders from behind are the people who say maybe like the Godfathers. You never see them, but you feel their influence.
But their impact is huge.
Oh, yes, you feel their influence. And I think they are greater leaders than those who are in the forefront, really.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Those in the forefront can be on the billboards. Yeah, they can be on television. They can be on the front of the magazine. But there are people who are pulling the strings from behind, who determine what goes on. And the sad thing about those who lead from the front is you still need the crowd to cheer you on to remain there.
Yeah.
And the day you make one mistake, the same people who shout Hosanna in the highest are the same people who will turn around and say, crucify him. So what do? I look myself in the mirror, and I look at the vision that I have in my heart, and I look at the impact that I want to make on my world, and I say to myself, I'll use every gifting I have and deploy it, whether I'm in the front, in the middle, or behind. Some of us, I'll have to tell myself some truth. There are some moments in our lives when we might be in the front. Enjoy that moment. Enjoy that season.
Right.
For some, it lasts for a long time. For some, it doesn't. For some, it lasts for several years. For some, it's for a few months. Right? Then, if you're in the middle, those who are in the middle are those who support other leaders. They may see you once in a while, but not all the time. But every time you are making progress, and I'm the one in the middle, and I'm pushing you forward, I'm being an extraordinary number 2, even though I'm a number 1 in my number 2 seat.
Right.
So you understand what I'm saying, right? So I'm in the middle, and then I could also be at the back. So I must know where I am at any point in time. There was a time in my life when, if you come into the city of Port Harcourt, literally every billboard, and I'm not exaggerating, you will see my picture on it. But now my picture is not on every billboard because I'm in a new season. And that doesn't change who I am. My name is still Chinelo Dillimono. But take it to the bank, they will tell you. My bank account, then now, it's still me. Right?
Right.
But I'm pushing those who are behind. I have sons in ministry. One of them was on, Chemere, he was on. I don't know if he still is, So I'm pushing him on, and I'm saying, it's your time, it's your season. So you do it. I still sing, right? But I'm doing many other things. So I'm not in that season where I have to be in the limelight. But I think my extraordinariness doesn't change. In fact, it increases.
It evolves.
It evolves.
Right.
Yes. So the third thing would be that people have got to learn to understand their times and their seasons and embrace it.
Very
embrace it. My husband says that You can't be at 40 and 50 and want to still act as though you're 15. There's a season to be 15 and there's a season to be 40. And you must understand it and then fill in and live to your fullest at that time, at that season of your life.
True. Powerful words right there. Powerful words. Chinelo, and then this is amazing, right? And these are things that will need time. So I would advise everyone that is on the call to go back when we're done. I'm going to post it online, and then you just sit back and just take in these words again so that they can really sip in. Because for you to really live an extraordinary life, you have to know. There's a knowing part. This is what we're doing now. Knowing the things that we need to know, knowing the things that we need to do to become the people that we need to become to attract the life that is extraordinary. And that's another interesting thing about being extraordinary. The life that you're living, it's really not for you to just enjoy. It's for people, other people. You call it generations. It's something that you can pass on. It's like running a relay race where somebody is with the baton. And at some point, when you know that from what you were saying, Chinelo, so when you know that your own time is up, you're able to hand over the baton to someone else. But it doesn't in any way diminish who you are, the extraordinary person that you are. That's the amazing part of it, because a lot of people think that because they're no longer in the limelight or in the spotlight, so to speak, then they lose themselves, or that they're no longer relevant. They no longer have what it takes to attract. That people are not shouting your name anymore doesn't
matter.
remove the fact that you're extraordinary. Like you rightly said, it's just that you are in another season of your life. Your other season of life, which is equally as important as when you were in the limelight. Because now it might just be the time for you to prepare others. If you've been there, if you're like a forerunner, someone is saying John and Jesus, like you're a forerunner, so you've experienced it. You now know how to move people in the direction of their extraordinariness. So it brings me to yet another question. Are there any strategies? Now, I'm coming to the business angle because I know that we have entrepreneurs in our midst, people who want to know that, okay, I see myself playing significantly in the area of governance. I see myself playing significantly in the area of business or education, but I don't even, or I'm not even sure exactly where I can identify as my area of influence. I mean, you are talking about a beautiful career in the area of music, gospel music, right? There's some people who would want to toe the line of gospel music. There's some others who are not necessarily into gospel, but they don't know because they're church people. They don't know maybe whether to go in the way of inspirational music or whatever it is that they may have. I mean, it might not be a popular opinion, and they don't even know how to start that journey. Some others want to go into politics, but have heard people tell them that no, politics is bad, it's for people who are evil or whatever. But that's, for example, in Nigeria, we have a lot of bad governance because of the wrong people have found there.
Bad leaders.
So the people that need to hear something, what are strategies, what are principles, other principles that they can apply, in the media space? I want to become a media house, for example. I want to be able to own a station, maybe TV. I want to go into TV or production or in the radio space, and I want to make a difference there. I want to make my mark there. Some people know what they already want. Some others are still struggling. They don't know. So how do people find their place? How can you, what are principles that can help them to discover their area of influence?
Okay. My style is very simple. I believe that sometimes
I just
Sometimes,
noticed what.
sometimes in life you need to wade through the water until you find your balance. Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
in life you just swim through, numerous streams, and then, but that you can do when you're young. You can't do that when you're 50.
Mm.
Right?
Well, I can argue with you on that because
Sorry?
I
No, no,
said,
no,
well, I
no,
can argue with you on that
no.
because
Understand what
age is
understand what I mean. I know. I'm saying that you can't keep. I like the way my husband puts it. You can't keep doing trial and error.
yeah, there's a time to outgrow certain things.
Yeah, there's a time to. That's why I said you wade through waters. Allow yourself to wade through the waters. But as you're
Not
wading,
for too long.
study. As you're wading through the waters, study the currents. Study
Okay.
people who are wading as well, and see if you like the way you feel in these waters. I'm just trying to put it as plainly. You can't at 70 still be wading through waters and say, I'm trying to find what my destiny or my vision is. At 70, then you should pick one thing. You've lived long enough to at least find one thing. There's some people who have,
I agree with you on that. I'm
yeah,
like to say that because some people, another question that I actually have here is that some people, with all that we're bantering about, have suddenly realized that they lived to a large extent a wasted life, and they're
I
asking,
agree.
is it too late for me to to find my extraordinary?
No, it's not too late. So it's going to take what I'm saying, what I was saying is going to take me to the second thing, which I want to say. But let me finish with this, which is wade through waters, test a few things, try and see, okay, maybe you like politics. Go into it. And if you don't like it, that's another problem people have. Because I've started this journey, then I stick through it whether I like it or not. If you go into politics and you find that it's really not working for me, I mean, take off or let me say, take the humble pie and take a
Yeah.
walk, leave there and wade through the waters again. And maybe now you feel that, okay, I think I'd like to be an OAP, and try
Okay.
it. Allow yourself to try out the things. For instance, there's something that I wanted to do as a child. I really wanted to fly a plane, and I've not been able to do it. So I said to myself, what I'm going to do is one of these days I'll just get to one of these airlines and beg them, can I sit in the cockpit? Let me just sit there.
That's a starting point.
That, you know what I mean? I just sit in the cockpit. I may not fly. They may not let me fly now, but at least let me sit in the cockpit.
Until you get training.
Maybe. So you wade through the waters and then you find where you feel comfortable. Because to
Okay.
be extraordinary, you can't be tense. You can't be one who's like, I like the way someone put it. I think it's TD Jakes who said, you can't play the piano and hate to play the piano, and you're crying, I hate to play the piano, but I have to play the piano. You can't be extraordinary not liking what you do. To be extraordinary, it means you can even do it for
Means
free and be
love.
happy you did it. Makes sense, right? So that
Yeah,
brings
I
me
think
to
it
that.
makes sense.
Yeah, so that brings me to the second point. You'd have to understudy others as well. Understudy people.
All right.
Ask the right questions. You know, the generation we live in, part of the problems that we have between leaders and followers is you have a lot of followers who the reason why they're around that leader is just so that they can get the validation of the leader and not because they want to learn the journey of that leader.
True.
Okay? So you've got to understudy people, understudy other people, people who are in that line. And sometimes in understudying, I said that earlier, you may have to understudy someone who's even younger than yourself. I have to say it in Igbo, then I'll
Right?
try to translate it. And it's my son, I don't know if he's still on, that said this to me once. Ada akuna line akpata ego.
And I put a line.
Ada akuna line akpata ego. Abula ogalanya. Ada akuna line
Okay.
abu ogalanya. Right? So which means I can be way older than you are, but by the reason of the tides of life, you're way richer than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've learned some strategies faster than I did.
Yeah, right.
So take a humble pie and realize, if I really want to be what I see you have been, then I can come to you and say, can you show me what you did? And sit
Right.
down with a pen and paper. And I learned those strategies. So that's one of the strategies, right?
You're
Sit
gonna
down.
have to be a learner.
Yeah, be a learner. Be a humble learner. Be willing to be willing. I hear you say that all the time. I mean, literally, coaches everywhere say that now. Be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
True.
Just be willing. Just be willing to learn. But there are so many people in their heads, they are extraordinary. In their heart, they're extraordinary. In their desires, they want to be extraordinary. But one thing is missing. Thank you, Sally. They're not teachable.
Right.
They're not teachable.
Right.
They wear
Right.
their pride on their sleeves. So it's difficult to even get the information
Ego.
across to them.
Right.
Yeah, so it becomes a problem. So they come around you, empty cans, making so much noise and rubbing shoulders. Yet by the time you ask them, okay, deliver, they can't deliver because they've not filled their container of extraordinariness. There's a way the Bible puts it. It says, by reason of use, they've exercised themselves. They've not exercised themselves. So they now make a mess of what could have been extraordinary if they were willing to understand.
That makes absolute sense.
That makes sense, right?
A teachable spirit, irrespective of age, irrespective of gender, irrespective of teaching. They must be able to have that spirit that can absorb.
Right.
I think one of my mentors once said that be like a sponge, soak up, keep soaking up. That no matter how you put water on a sponge, it will continue to soak up. Right? That's how we should. Because the more you open up yourself for the more capacity you have to take in.
That's right. I wish we had a balloon. I wish you had a balloon. If you have a balloon right now, and you blow it, the more you blow it, the larger it becomes. The more you blow it, the larger it becomes. And that's how our life should be. We should allow people to speak into our lives, to allow people to teach us, allow people to guide us. I like the way Jesus put it in, I think it's John chapter 14, verse 18 or so. He said, when you were young, you go wherever you like. He said, but when you're older, you'll have to put your hand in the hands of another, and that one will take you where you don't want to go. Sometimes to become extraordinary, you have to put your hand in the hands of another. The person takes you down a journey that you really don't like, but you see, it may be hurting to your flesh, but if you go through that process, you come out on the other side a better you. And that's where the extraordinariness. That's why they say sometimes for the fragrance of a rose, you'll have to, if you break the petals, then you can perceive the aroma or the scent of a rose. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, someone has got to take us on a journey that we don't want to go through. Somebody has got to discipline us. Somebody has got to speak to us in a way. It hurts you, but you know that it's for your own good. Right? And then the beauty of what you carry comes. I mean, sometimes I tell the people that I mentor, and I say to them, you need someone who can say to you, no, sit down. And you hate the fact that you're sitting down. But it's not just a sitting down. You've got to sit down, and then you've also got to get to that point where in your heart, you've heard the story of the young boy who, I think the mother or somebody told him to kneel down, and he didn't want to kneel down, and they forced him to kneel down. He said, I'm kneeling down, but in my heart, I'm standing up.
In my mind, I'm standing up.
So for that extraordinariness to come out, then you've got to sit down, and then in your heart still sit down.
Sit down. Right.
Be able to sit. Then you're ready for your extraordinariness.
Right. Oh, wow.
That makes sense, right?
Extraordinary time. Our time is up, but it has truly been an extraordinary moment
Already?
for us. Oh yeah, I mean well, there's a whole lot to take away, and for
Right.
me, I think it's that aspect where you have to realize that you are in different seasons of being extraordinary. First of all, identifying who you are is very key. Then identifying the people who are important for your journey is important, because not everyone is
And also
important.
in that season, there are people for each season. You
For
must
every
locate them.
season, there are people that you
Not
need
everybody.
to continue. No one, not everyone is. And then lastly, that you must have a teachable heart and spirit to
Right.
be able to learn, because learning can happen at any level. It can
Right.
happen with someone being younger than you, someone
Mhm.
older than you, someone that you do not even expect. But
Right.
as long as you continue to maintain that teachable lifestyle, it will
Mhm.
open doors in such a way that you continue to expand like a sponge. This
Right.
has been a rewarding
Awesome.
experience. Chinelo, are there any programs or are there anything, you are an etiquette consultant? That's probably where we started connecting from,
Yes.
and all of that. And there's so many amazing things that you're doing. Are there any programs that you have on coming up? We'd love to. We don't just want to take for free. We want to take to the next step. If there are any programs that are coming up, I mean, we would love to know so that people who are here can know. Keep abreast. Please follow Chinelo. She's at Chinelo
Thank you.
Dillimono, and I think it's Finesse International. That's
Yes,
the
International.
etiquette
That's finishing
consulting.
school. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the finishing
finishing
school.
school. So, are there any programs coming up that you would want us to know?
Yes, well, very soon. And Norma, you know that you're one of the facilitators already. So, yeah,
Let the cat
we're
out
having
of the
our
bag.
we're, pardon? Say that again.
And she let the cat out of the bag.
Yes. So, we're going to be having an online academy very soon, one of our online classes, where we're going to be talking about social polishing, general etiquette, understanding what etiquette is all about, and unleashing your finesse. Because everyone, you asked that question, is everybody extraordinary? And I said, yes, everyone has a capacity to be
And they
extraordinary.
know how
And but
to
everybody
unleash
also has the
their extraordinary.
capacity to exhibit their own type of finesse.
Mhm.
So, yes. So please, everyone, if you can follow us on Finesse International, and then would once the program is ready, would let everyone know as
Awesome.
well.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant. It's been truly a rewarding experience. Thank you, everyone that joined in. Friends of Chinelo, friends of Omalicha, and even dear guests, thank you so much. It's always every Friday where we bring that opportunity for you to meet yet another guest who will mentor on what it takes, the concept of being extraordinary. It's important that you be extraordinary in this life, because someone you needs you to be uniquely you, like Chinelo
Mhm.
has said, and you need to
Thank
walk
you,
in that
Sally.
consciousness intentionally, deliberately, consciously, and readily. And the more you hear, the more we bring different key industry players and mind shifters to come and tell you their perspective on the concept of being extraordinary, then it will help you to begin to think
Thank you, Enki.
about taking the right steps that you need to become that extraordinary person that you are designed to be. Thank you so much, everyone. NK Maduforo, thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank
For those
you.
that are joining us, please, we're going to put this up. Go back, watch, like, follow us, and we continue the conversation next Friday with yet another extraordinary guest, bringing them your way and trusting that your life will be transformed and you will become the extraordinary person that you are designed to be. Thank you so much, Chinelo. Mwah,
Thank you,
everyone.
Dr.
Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy and be with us next Friday. All right.
Yeah.
Bye for now. Thank
Bless
you, Chinelo. We love you, and we
Love
love
this.
everyone.
Love you. All the best. Thank you, Norma. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for being with
Thank you,
us.
Pastor Sene. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Ibiye. Thank you,
There's
Madu,
so
for
many
all of it. Thank you,
here.
girls. Thank you so
Gary,
much.
Pastor Sen is there. Sally
Yes.
is there. Easy Visa. I mean,
Lisa.
there's so many I can't even keep count. But you know that we love you and we really want you to be extraordinary. So please continue to be with us. Take care, everyone, and have a lovely, lovely weekend. Bye,
Bless you all.
Chinelo.
Hiya.